Hey everyone, this is Lisa with Big Blend Radio, and I'm sitting in the Yuma Crossing National Heritage Area office, the admin office, and it's really very close to the Colorado River, so that's a cool thing because this is the crossing grounds. And I'm very excited to have met Lowell Perry Jr. Lowell is the new executive director of the Yuma Crossing National Heritage Area, and you've been here for how long?
You know,
it's not that new now.
I guess not. It'll be a year in June, so time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. So, do you like it here in Yuma?
Oh, I'm just loving it. My wife and I both are having a blast, and we've been just so graciously welcomed into the community. And to get to drive to work every day and see mountains and serene desert and all is just I can feel the stress leave my body on a continual basis.
That's good.
So it's been good health wise too.
That's good. Now what about the Yuma Crossing? To me, what's so exciting is, we've been covering Yuma for 20 years, and we keep saying, everyone, you got to go to the crossing, you've got to go to the wetlands. And when people look at photos that we've taken and movies, and people are like, it's the desert, it's not supposed to look that lush. Was that shocking to you for the first time when you came here to see the river and the wetlands and how lush, and it's almost tropical here?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, because when you throw the palm trees that you see periodically around, and all of this used to be underwater at some point. So in effect, it is tropical. Yeah. But, seeing the wetlands and really when you go back and think about what it used to be just 20 years ago, when in the West Wetlands it was literally a city dump.
Yep.
And in the East Wetlands you had a dangerous hobo camp that people were fearful of getting close to after dark. And now you see children and families frolicking in the Colorado River and tubing, and folks out there fishing and all, and people coming from all around the world to figure out how we're doing this in the middle of the desert and taking out all that non-native invasive vegetation and replacing it with what should be there and what was meant to be there, and our fabulous agricultural community and growing vegetables in the middle of the desert, and people want to know why, and so we invite them to come out and learn a little bit about it.
And there's the history too, and I just want to say, going back on the restoration of the wetlands, is the amount of birding, and this is it's always been known as a birding destination from when I've, over the 20 years I know Yuma, and to see the birds actually come back and nest along the Colorado River, all kinds of species, and the beaver coming back. I always talk about the beaver because I've never seen a beaver in the wild until we got to Yuma, and people are like, I've never seen one in the wild. I'm like, well, if you're in the Southwest, you've got to come to Yuma, because now we used to see them on the East Wetlands, and we go out early in the morning, catch the most amazing sunrises, and then we've seen them in the West Wetlands now too. So it seems like this is everybody's happy. It's coexistence.
Oh, absolutely. And, you mentioned birding and the work that's been done, particularly in the East Wetlands. We've seen a couple of endangered species of birds come back. The yellow-billed cuckoo is nesting in the East Wetlands. The Ridgway's rail, we call the Yuma clapper rail, has made a comeback here. There are other species of birds that have been showing up in the wetlands. One, I think it's called the wiffle flycatcher. I was talking with somebody about that the other day. People have been trying to get that bird to nest up and down the Colorado River unsuccessfully, but we think we have a chance here due to some of the native vegetation that we have replanted in the area. And if we continue to get the support to make sure that there's plenty of water and that the correct habitat and the correct habitat that's there, there's a real chance that could take place. So if you are a birder, if you're a hiker, if you're a biker, I mean, come on down.
And cycling, you guys are a cycler, friendly.
Absolutely.
All the trails, I mean, with the wetlands and the heritage area, I want to touch on that because when you think about heritage area, you think it's going to be a historic walking tour with brick buildings. That's kind of what that thing that comes to mind. But when you come here, you have some of the most important history of the Southwest, of California, of America.
Yes.
Crossing through here over the Colorado River. Also Native American history. You got Hispanic history. It's huge what is here. I think everyone at some points history's been touched by Yuma around the country, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I would definitely say so. And it's a place that, in trying to think in terms of a historic Yuma, if you will, there's a lot for people to come and do here, to spend a couple, 3 days.
Yeah.
We've got great hotels. We've got a great new historic downtown with restaurants and art and shops and bars and food. There's plenty of fun to be had. There are 2 state historic parks, the Colorado River State Historic Park, which talks about the crossing and the history of the Bureau of Reclamation and irrigation and how our agricultural community thrives here. You've got a cadre of museums that cover a lot of different topics that are here that you can come and visit and spend a lot of time in. And so
you can go to the prison too and see if your relatives were in there once.
Well, you know what? The prison is an intriguing place. I learn something different every time I walk through there, and we've got a great staff and gift shop. Especially if you're looking for something human, as we say, there are T-shirts, caps, different kinds of hot sauces and all. But a famous relative. I mean, for instance, former Senator Jeff Flake, his grandfather was a resident
not at the prison.
At the prison.
Oh, at the prison.
At the prison. There's a big banner there of his grandfather who was put in there for polygamy. Oh. And he opted to stay and do his time rather than go across the border into Mexico as others had done. Oh, wow. Our most famous or infamous resident was Pearl Hart.
Yep.
And in fact, I think there's a documentary that should be coming up pretty soon about her.
Oh,
they were here shooting at the prison, and they went down in Tucson, and we've had
film history too, man.
Since I've been here. Since I've been here, we've had 6, I believe, film crews come to the prison, including one from Univision, to do something in Spanish for their visitors. We've got the ghost folks, those guys that...
Oh, come on, your office is haunted.
Well, that's what they say. I mean, we're in a building that's 100 years old next year, and we hope to do some kind of a celebration for that.
A little paranormal party?
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, one of my folks out at the prison told me they even get people... There's a graveyard at the prison, that there are actual grave sites that are there, and he's coming there at night. There have been fires and lights going on and people trying to do seances and stuff out there. I mean, it's so this is that prison is the second most visited attraction in Arizona,
after
just behind the Grand Canyon.
Exactly. It is
in Little Old Yuma.
I'm so glad you said that, because we've been trying to tell people the prison is it, and as we go on our Love Your Parks tour, it is amazing how many things tie back to the prison. So in Tucson, Arizona, famous Arizona artist Ted DeGrazia built his own gallery. It's a 10-acre National Historic Site and landmark. He has a mission that he built with the Native Americans and also the resident Mexican community. They built it together out of adobe. The front door of the gallery is a replica of the territorial prison doors here.
Oh, wow. Globe,
Arizona, of course, Pearl Hart ended up in that area. You go in the prison there, some of the doors are from the Yuma Territorial Prison. And that prison's haunted, man. That's there's a look, you got a dove that wants to come in. Talk about birds.
You hear them at night, boy, those doves and
pigeons you got them.
We got them.
You got 400 species of birds.
They are here, but I got to say, you mentioned earlier, when that pivoting bridge was put in place at the narrows of the Colorado River here, and allowing trains to come across, it literally changed commerce in getting goods from the West Coast, a lot of it coming in through San Francisco that had prior to that had to be put on clipper ships, go all the way down the Pacific Ocean and up through the Straits of Cortez, offloaded onto river steamboats, and then it was brought up here to Yuma and offloaded at what used to be called the Quartermaster Depot and put on mule-drawn wagons and taken east and north. I mean, as far north as Denver, into Texas. There's a map that always amazes me when I'm going through the river park that shows literally the trails that these wagons, and there used to be like 900 mule that used to be housed at this Quartermaster Depot, and they loaded up these wagon trains, like people that were back in the day that used to see some of those original TV shows like Wagon Train and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, the Wild West is here. The Wild West is not Texas. It's not Kansas. The Wild West is Arizona.
This is one of the most important places for history of the West. It really is.
No question.
Going back, Tombstone, Arizona. When we were there, we of course had to go to Boot Hill Graveyard to see if it was haunted. No, but we saw the Clanton Gang and all these shootings that Frank Leslie did.
Okay.
Buckskin Leslie, and he is from the Territorial Prison too.
Yes.
So it comes in. You've got the Wild West, but in Tombstone, they used to, when it was a mining camp. They had all these little tents, and guess what they were eating in their restaurants? Oysters. And they were eating roast beef, and they were getting all of these fancy foods, and it's all because of Yuma being able to transport it from San Francisco.
And speaking of Frank Buckskin Leslie, Wyatt Earp claims that he never saw anyone as fast as Frank Buckskin Leslie. He said he may have been faster than Doc Holliday.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was something I learned too. And for those of you who are fans of some of the newer Zorro movies with Antonio Banderas and all, the legendary Three-Fingered Jack.
Exactly.
He was a resident here in Yuma Prison. There have been a number of movies that have been shot here, or it's been talked about. I mean, 310 to Yuma was not done in Yuma necessarily, but when they were trying to get Russell Crowe on that train, it was coming to Yuma, to the Territorial Prison.
It touches all over the place. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. I love all that kind of history, and for people to be able to walk here, see on the river, and play on the river, like we were saying, you wouldn't think that on a heritage area. This is something very unique, and it has heritage areas actually haven't been in existence that long, like our national parks, even though they're an affiliate to the National Park Service, right?
Yes, the Heritage Area Program comes out of national parks as part of the Department of Interior, and they are protecting, restoring, preserving, conserving, maintaining, promoting the nation's history. All of us are a little bit different, that we do, but if you look at it as a collective and what we're preserving for the next generation, I think it's an invaluable service. People can talk to their legislators about supporting the National Heritage Area Act of 2019, which would fund heritage areas for the next 20 years and ensure that they are stable, that they can go to the next level. One of the things that we're looking at doing here, besides just some of the basic restoration and preservation of some of the oldest adobe structures in the state of Arizona, is to also bring in new exhibits, more interactive exhibits, utilizing some of the best in audio and visual technology. History doesn't have to be boring. History can be fun, and so we are also an educational piece. Besides all of the conservation and preservation, last I checked, history was an academic subject.
Yes.
So, you know what I'm saying?
And people come here for family history too, to do their genealogy. That is one of the top hobbies in the world, is family history.
Right.
Family history and birding and gardening, by the way, which is all part of it. But I think it's exciting about the National Heritage Area is that it's very you're connected to, different parks, different agencies, but it's also very community driven as well. So it kind of connects people together on their local history.
Absolutely. And we have several families here who are 5, 6 generation residents here. And we haven't even talked about the tribes,
right.
Particularly the Quitsan tribe and the Kokopah. But the Quitsan was very instrumental in helping people cross the Colorado River back when they had ropes tied and were doing these kind of ferries to and fro between California and here. There is the Fort Yuma Indian Reservation, which is right across the Colorado River from here, that has all kinds of historic things, including the St. Thomas Indian Mission Church that's there. We're trying to do more to tell the story of the tribes. They're very unique because many of the indigenous tribes and populations from across this country were displaced, relocated. The Quitsan have been here, they're still here, and they're one of the few tribes that have not been moved. And when the Spanish got here in circa 1540, they said that they found a thriving community already in place. That obviously were the indigenous folks that were here. So there were people living in Yuma before the folks landed in
before
Jamestown.
The Europeans,
before the Europeans came in and started stealing, all of the country.
Juan Batista came over with Father Font in 1776 when America was becoming America.
Right.
When you think about that history.
Right.
To me, to walk in the footsteps of that expedition,
Absolutely.
The Butterfield route went to Fort Yuma. And that's something that I really want to cover more with our magazines and everything, because a lot of people, and I really want to touch on this, will think, okay, so that is the tribe across there, the Quitsans over there. They've got Anya Nitzpak, which is Sunrise Park. Everyone, it's the best place to see the sunrise. You can cross over, you can go in there. There's a casino too.
Yep.
Are people allowed to go over the river and visit the reservation? Because I think a lot of people sometimes think that they may not be welcome. Are they open to visitors to the mission, that kind of thing?
Yes, they are, and I will tell you that we are working with the tribe in trying to restore some of the structures there. Although it's an interesting kind of dynamic, because when it was a fort and all, the tribe itself is not interested in restoring an army base, if you will.
Sure.
But we're looking to restore the museum that they have over there. There are all kinds of artifacts, musical instruments, and that kind of thing that we want to be able to do to make it even more viable for people to go and visit. Yes, you can drive over, and we would be happy to facilitate some of that from our end. We have a couple of historians on staff here that do the curation of the museums at the prison and at the State Historic Park. I know enough to be dangerous now, so maybe I've taken some people on tours, and actually it's helpful for me to really learn more about
it's deep.
The special nature of this heritage area.
It's awesome. And welcome. I'm going to say welcome to our tour headquarters. It's so nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure.
Everyone, please go to the website, yumaheritage.com. They're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much.
It is my pleasure, and look forward to working with you going forward.
Absolutely.